Well, hi everyone, this is Max and I'm really happy to welcome you back here at the lab for this new episode. And today I would like to tell you about remote one-to-one meetings. Those meetings that you have with your employees, with your team members, with your direct reports. These are very, very important events, especially these days because they have to be conducted remotely. So those conversations will happen over Teams, over Zoom, over whatever software you're using in your company. So in this video, I have 8 tips for you to make sure that these one-to-one meetings are actually a success. And for that, I'll be using a serious dose of sketchnoting. Let's go. So for this video, I've split my advice between 2 very big phases. So there are 4 tips for before the meeting takes place, and there's 4 tips during the meeting. So what happens before the meeting? What should you pay attention to? So the very first tip is to be prepared. So don't look for things during the meetings. Make sure that you're properly prepared. Make sure that you have all the information about your employees. If you're running a very big team and it's difficult for you to keep track of all the private aspects of people's life, to the extent that they wanted to share, make sure that you've been reading your notes. Make sure that you've been prepared in this meeting. Make sure that you don't ask someone about their kids when they don't have any. This kind of thing, so make sure that it gets really personal. Of course, in a perfect world, all of these things would be clear in your mind and you wouldn't have to run a team with more than, let's say, 8 people. But we live in an imperfect world. And there's a lot of managers who unfortunately have about 20 people as direct reports, which is crazy. So the second thing is to be on time. Make sure that you show up on time. Don't send this quick text message saying, oh, I'll be there in 5. This sets a very bad precedent for the beginning of the meeting, right? So make sure that you go to the toilet before that. If you have back-to-back meetings, make sure that before that you have about 5 minutes between the 2 meetings to make sure that you're fully there, fully available, fully on time for this person. So the tip number 3 is to never cancel or postpone. And that's linked to tip number 2. It's not because you're late. First of all, you shouldn't be late. But even if you're late, don't cancel, don't postpone it. It has to take place because the person might have been preparing for it. Maybe there are things which are difficult for that person to say. And we have also a lot of colleagues who are more introvert than extrovert. So it might be that it's taking a lot of energy for them. Maybe that's the highlight of their afternoon. Not because they think you're so important, but because they've been preparing so much for it. So make sure to respect their efforts and make sure that you're actually attending this meeting. Make sure that you're not postponing it, not canceling it. So the tip number 4 is to leave the agenda setting to the employee. So it's very important that you schedule the meeting, and I know a lot of organizations where they say, well, the employee should schedule the meeting because this meeting is for them. Well, I don't completely agree with that because indeed the meeting is for them, which is why they should be setting the agenda because it's all about them and you're there to listen. But as to book the meeting itself, well, some people will never dare to book a meeting in your agenda because they will assume that you're busy, right? That's what you claim all day. So I think you need to create that room for them. You need to book that appointment. And if there is nothing to discuss that day, if your employee feels like there's nothing to put on the agenda, that's okay. Then at their request, you can cancel it. But it has to be their request. So make sure that you're leaving the agenda setting to them, but that you really take the time to book the agenda yourself and make it a recurring, of course. It's much easier. So the tip number 5 is to be visible. It's very, very important that you're visible during this meeting. And by visible, I mean something as simple as switching your camera on. And if your employee doesn't want to switch their camera on, and I would say that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. This meeting is for them and you're doing your part by really being visible, by being there. So make sure to switch on the camera. Make sure that you're not sharing your screen and looking at stuff and say, hey, let's open this thing and let's look at it. No. They have to see you. It's very, very important. Of course, the microphone has to be on, otherwise it will be very, very difficult, but the camera is super important as well. Now for the tip number 6. This is very personal. I think this is not adding any value to have a fake background. So I would say, don't put any fake background. Everybody knows that you're not in Paris at the moment. They all know that. And if you happen to be in Paris, most likely you're not sitting in the middle of the Trocadero with the Eiffel Tower in the back. So, trust is very important. And I know it's an obvious lie, so you would say, well, it's not really affecting trust. But I think it's nice to really show yourself, to show your background, what's in the back. It shows a bit of vulnerability, especially if you have a lot of mess. So no, really, don't put a fake background. I think it's not adding. And again, if your employee feels like they want to have a fake background, just let them. That's fine. But you have to you have to lead by example here. And I think it's very important that they see you as authentic as possible, as authentic as you can be through a remote conversation. And I will show you that this is a real background. Right? This is a real background. So the tip number 7 is to be focused. So your body language is really telling. You know, when you're physically in the location, you know, when you're checking your phone or something, but also when you're remote, because people will see that your eyes are moving away from the camera. They will see that you're looking either at the second screen or a third screen, or your phone or anything. You know, I mean, if you're putting your gaze down, you know, and you're basically taking notes, that's okay. That's okay. You know. But don't look at a phone, for instance. You know, I think it's nice that they see you taking notes. It means you care, and that's very important. But if you start looking at your phone and your eyes are going left to right, that's not good. You don't want to go there. So make sure that you're completely focused. And the tip number 8, and the last tip in that sense, is the health check. So it's very, very important. This meeting is for them. It's for your team member. It's for your direct report. It's for your employee. It's not for you. It's not for you, and it's not for the project. You're not here to review a project, okay? You're not here to hear status about the last crisis, about the last delivery. No, it's not about that. It's about understanding how they are feeling. So make sure that you check their mental health. Make sure that you check their energy level. Make sure that you check that the direction that you are taking as a team is still clear. Make sure that there is still buy-in for this direction that you're trying to set as a team. And only then you will get the right commitment from these people. But you don't have to talk about any milestone. You don't have to talk about any part of the project. What matters is that how do they feel at this moment? And how can you help them? How can you remove obstacles which are in the way, either of their personal well-being, and that's very important, or maybe in interactions they have with customers, with stakeholders, with colleagues. This is about them, it's not about you. So I hope this is all clear, and I will be sharing a lot more in the coming videos about remote work, because this thing is not going away and there's a lot of opportunities in it as well. So make sure to check out my next video and take care. Hey, thanks a lot for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and of course if you loved it, please subscribe to the channel. See you next time.